recognize.
Come on in. Late.
A lot of faces I don't recognize. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Marley Smith. I'm a health and wellness expert that focuses on your spine and your nervous system. Me and Dr. Heather, we own Living Well Family Chiropractic. And what we're going to talk about tonight is eating right or dying young. One of the main things that we see in our clinic is you guys are confused about what we should eat. Okay? You don't know how much we should eat. You don't know what you should eat. You don't know the nutrient quality of foods that we are putting in our mouths. So we're going to go over some of that. But I want to ask you guys, first off, is the United States, are we healthy? No. Okay. Thank you. When you compare us to our peer countries, we don't stack up very good. Okay? And there's multiple different studies out there that compare us to different peer countries. Dr. Heather posted one right here where it compares us to 11 different nations, and you can see that we're actually on the bottom, okay, when you compare us as far as our health and our healthcare system. There's another good study that recently came out in the past few years comparing us to 17 of our peer countries, okay, so our industrialized, developed countries, and we are dead last. World Health Organization put out a study in the early 2000s, and the same thing, we ranked 37th, okay? When you compare all of these diseases right here against our peers, how do you think we actually rank when it comes to heart disease? What are your guys' guesses? Yeah, always number one or number two. And it's the number one killer in our country. We lead in cancer. If you have cancer, fortunately we have some of the best treatment options, but we aren't designed to get cancer in the first place, guys. Diabetes and obesity, we have led that one for years and nobody is going to catch us. Chronic lung disease, infant mortality, okay, there's better birth outcomes in countries where they have babies on dirt floors than we do here in America. Arthritis and activity limiting conditions, we lead in that as well as with mental health issues, and we have the highest rate of incarceration, meaning we have the most people in penitentiaries when we compare to our peers. So we're not doing very good. So what I'm going to propose is that our current model is failing. Would any of you agree? Yeah. Okay? And would you agree if we continue to do what we've been doing, we're going to continue to get what we've been getting? Okay? So we got to be willing to change. Are these conditions right here, what do you think? Are they going up or are they going down? And are they going through the roof? Okay. Just talk to some of the teachers. Ask them about ADD, ADHD, autism, and ask them what's going on with the rates of those conditions. We see things like infertility in our office all the time, autoimmune disorders, and arthritis or arthritic conditions. Okay, so we have to change something. This model is failing us, and unfortunately it's gotten so bad that we finally recognize it. Okay? So what is health? When we actually look at health, guys, we can break it down to a simple definition. It's optimal cell function. Pretty simple definition, but what it comes down to is how these three things actually add up and align. So our genes do play a role, but unfortunately we continue to try and find the cancer gene, we try and find the obesity gene, we try and find any gene that we can find so we can shift the blame. But if we look at the studies out there, our genes haven't changed in 10,000 years, guys. Our genome has not changed. Okay, so what we need to focus on is our lifestyle. Because through epigenetic research, what it tells us is our lifestyle choices actually affect how our genes get expressed. Okay, which has a huge implication on our overall health. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. We're going to focus on lifestyle. And when we break down lifestyle, it's determined by how we eat, how we move, and how we think. And tonight it's going to be about food and what we're actually putting into our mouths. What I want you guys to think of is, are we constantly trying to name conditions and study certain conditions down to the T? Right? There's a name for everything out there. But what I think we need to do is we need to focus on health and what makes us healthy and not focus so much on the actual sickness itself. Sickness is not an entity in itself. We like to compare it to darkness. Okay? Darkness is not an entity. but light is. Darkness is simply just the absence of light, right? So if we have this well-lit room, and let's say that hallway is dark, and I open one of those doors, is the darkness going to seep in and take over this room, or is the light going to seep out in that hallway and light up that hallway, right? So that's what we need to study. We need to be studying healthy people and not trying to get every single detail about every single sickness. We need to study, what makes us healthy overall. But we're confused, aren't we? So recently, just an article in the paper, last week, saying GMO foods are safe.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? Okay, we don't know if dairy is healthy. Meat causes cancer. We hear that all the time. There's a study on bacon. I heard a lot of buzz in the clinic. That bacon causes cancer. Was it really the pork, or is all the other stuff that they put in that processed meat that can contribute to cancer? Should we eat whole grains, and should that be the base of our diet like we're told by the USDA? Are they even healthy? We aren't sure if fat is good or bad. Does fat make you fat? Should you just become a vegetarian? Is that the way to go? We don't know if soy is healthy or not. We don't know if corn's healthy. In fact, what is corn? Is it a grain? Is it a vegetable? It's actually a grain, but with many vegetable oils, it can be corn oil, right? So there's some mass confusion out there. And I understand, because every time I turn on the television or I pick up a newspaper, I see the same thing. And I understand that you guys are frustrated and confused. So here's that article. The actual original publication is 408 pages long. So I went to that thing, and I printed it out, and I will sift through it. And if you guys want us to do a workshop on that and all the holes that are in that, those studies, we'd be happy to do that. Or maybe the Tribune Needle will let us write an article combating this, okay? Because if you really look at that, there is a ton of holes. And just looking at the surface, there's many things wrong with how they cite the research. Okay, so I don't have time to go into it tonight, but I'm telling you, this is not right. And from that study, they cannot make the conclusion that these genetically modified foods are safe. So this is what we're going to go over tonight. What the USDA has been telling us for years, ever since 1992, right? And even the proportions they tell us are wrong, guys. So the four things we're going to go over are grains, dairy, these industrial seed oils that are in everything, as well as soy. And I'm going to rattle a few cages here, and I'm going to confuse you guys even a little bit more. But I promise you, everything that we tell you tonight, we would be able to back up with some type of research. Okay, which we can't always say with their claims. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself. Every time you put a meal in front of you, ask these questions. Without big agriculture or the domestication of animals, would you still be eating what's in front of you on your plate? Would you expend more energy actually prepping it if you were in the wild than you get from eating it? For example, with grains, as far as harvesting those grains, shucking those grains, and eating those grains. What are the nutritional qualities of that, and what are the energy that we get from that? Would we ever milk a wild animal? And if so, would it be the same thing that we consume today? Does it have to enter a factory to actually make it to your plate? And that's a big one for me. But what I want you guys to ask yourself every single time you eat a meal, that I guarantee it'll make you healthier if you answer this question. Does it walk on the planet or grow in the ground in a natural fashion without the influence of man, besides maybe sprinkling some seeds? Okay, and if you follow that rule, you're generally going to be eating a pretty healthy diet. Does it come in a box, bag, can, or package, or does it have a nutrition label? And if it does, it's not food. Okay? Can you read the ingredients list, and how long is it? If you don't know what you're eating, I mean, why would you even eat it if you didn't know what it was? Okay? I know this is easy to say, and it is simple. It's just not easy, guys. So this is what we're told. The majority of our energy should come from grains, right? You guys remember the food pyramid? And at the base of that food pyramid, yep.
I remember that from the 1970s.
Yep, exactly.
I was their age.
Yeah, and they've continued the trend. They've modified it just a little bit, but now we got the food plate, right? But always we've had this big chunk of grains here. Their argument is that grains is a good source of fiber. Well, we need to ask ourselves, what is high fiber? High fiber means that something has 5 grams of fiber per serving. Okay, and as we pull up some nutrition labels of grains, the majority of them don't even come close to 5 grams. Some of them have none. Some of them are only going to have 1 or 2. And what kind of fiber is it? Okay, the majority of the time it's mostly insoluble fiber. But it's the soluble fiber within fruits and vegetables and those resistant starches that make up what we call prebiotics, which are the good food for probiotics and our healthy gut. Okay, we have good bacteria within our gut that require nutrients, and that comes from those prebiotics that we see in soluble fiber, not the insoluble kind. They say that grains are a good source of vitamins and minerals, but let me ask you, how many of those vitamins and minerals are actually fortified into that food? So it doesn't occur naturally. And do they actually all get absorbed? So yes, they do have some vitamins, they do have some minerals, they do have some fiber, but is it the best source? Is it a good source? So this is what the USDA says. They say grains are an important source of many nutrients, including several B vitamins, or fiber, B vitamins, and different minerals. So let's dissect that. Let's see if they're right. So these are a couple of your healthy grain options here. We took some whole wheat bread, and I know it's hard for some of you guys to see in the back, but if we look at the fiber content, it's 2 grams. That's not high fiber. When we look at this ingredient list, there's a lot of things in here I cannot pronounce. This is a very long list. We have vegetable oil in there, soybean oil, as well as soy lecithin, which Heather will talk more about that later. When we look at the vitamin content, guys, it is very, very minimal. So this is not a vitamin-rich food, this is not a mineral-rich food, and it doesn't contain a good amount of fiber. If we look at quinoa, which is technically a pseudo-grain, not really a grain, it does have some good fiber. We got 5 grams. But then if we look at the vitamin and mineral content of that, once again, very minimal. Brown rice, we consider that to be a healthier option. Almost high fiber, but look at the vitamin and mineral content. And then pastas, that's going to be what a lot of us are eating, right? It's cheap, it's easy, and it has 0 nutrients. So, dietary fiber, nothing. Vitamins, minerals, very, very minimal. Now I try to pick some somewhat healthy things, or what you guys think are healthy, but let's be honest, the majority of people, they're probably eating breakfast cereals, which also have a bunch of sugar, goldfish, crackers, so there's even worse options than this. So this is all about grains, and I know we have been ingrained to think that we should eat like this for years and years and years. I was taught like this in elementary school, in high school, in college, in grad school, and then when I got out of grad school and started doing my own research and experimenting with my diet, I realized that maybe we've been told wrong. And the research does support this. So grains tend to be highly acidic, guys. So we come in contact with things that are either basic or acidic in our diet all the time. And we have to maintain a balance. Now, if we don't maintain a balance and our body becomes too basic or too acidic, we can actually destroy ourselves and we would die. The body's not stupid, okay? It's very, very smart. So it has different buffering systems. One of the buffering systems we have is calcium. Where's a good source of calcium in our body? Bones and teeth. So in order to buffer that acidic environment, we create a compound called calcium carbonate. We're going to be leaching calcium from our bones and from our teeth. And we have seen in research that grains can have an effect, these processed grains can have an effect on malocclusion, on teeth, on facial structure, cranial structure. So it does have an effect. Gluten. I was told that there was also another article in the newspaper recently that said gluten's bad, right? The gluten-free foods are bad. Did you guys see that? Okay, we'll go over that in a little bit. But gluten, in a nutshell, this could literally be a seminar in itself, just gluten. But in a nutshell, here's what gluten does to us. First of all, it's a protein in wheat, barley, rye. Okay? What it does is it stimulates a compound called zonulin. What zonulin does is it actually allows things to permeate the gut. So normally we have very tight junctions within our GI tract, okay? And when zonulin's produced, these junctions actually open up. And what can happen is different food material and proteins can actually be passed into the bloodstream. Now what do you think the body's going to do when something foreign is in the bloodstream? It's going to attack it, okay? We got an immune system, right? And when our bodies come in contact with something foreign, we send out the soldiers. Sound like autoimmune disease? Sound like inflammation? And it is. Saponins, they do the same thing, and like the name implies, they're like a soap-like compound. So soap is an emulsifier, it actually breaks down fat. So it can break down the bilayer of our cells and actually do the same thing as gluten. Okay, because each one of our cells is surrounded by a layer of fat. They are high in anti-nutrients, these chemicals called lectins and phytic acid or phytate. And what they actually do is they bind to things like magnesium, iron, calcium, zinc, okay? Sound like osteoporosis, skin conditions, high blood pressure, okay? So a lot of the foods that we're eating are fortified with these minerals, but then we aren't even absorbing them. So it's the equivalent of going to the bank and depositing 500 bucks, but they give you a receipt for 300. Okay, that's what's happening in the body. They also tend to be fast sugars. And we talked about this at Get 10 Pounds Healthier in 10 Weeks, where they actually increase, they create a spike in our blood sugar, which creates a spike in our insulin. And as we continue that, we actually become insulin resistant, okay, which sets us up for diabetes, or obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, everything under the sun. And if we mess with insulin and mess up our hormonal balance, you can't affect one hormone without affecting all of the hormones, okay? They act in harmony with one another. These grains are very inflammatory, so we have to maintain a normal balance of essential fatty acids in our body. One of them are called omega-3 fatty acids. One of them are omega-6 fatty acids. They're both important. The problem is these grains have a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, and if we have a ratio that is skewed of omega-6 to omega-3, it promotes inflammation in the body. Now, if we look back at the healthiest people that ever walked this planet, our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they had an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of anywhere from 4 to 1 to 1 to 1. Any idea what the modern diet is? It's about 20 to 1. Okay? They tend to be highly genetically modified foods. However you feel about GMOs, your decision, different topic, but they are highly genetically modified typically. They're processed, so they have to be refined. Many times they are stripped of their nutrients, and then their nutrients are fortified back into it. So the fact that it actually has to go through a factory to even get to my plate or my family's plate is enough for me to not eat them. When we look at factory farms, industrial farming, they work the soil hard, right? They're always planting. So what do they got to do to that soil? They got to supplement the soil, right? They've used up all the nutrients. So they'll use artificial fertilizers, and they also got to keep their crops from being attacked. So they use herbicides, insecticides, pesticides. What happens to all of these chemicals and compounds? They just disappear into thin air? They don't. They get washed into our water supply. Has anybody ever heard of dead zones? So there are large areas in the Gulf of Mexico, sometimes spanning as much as 8,000 miles, where there's no life. Direct result of these artificial fertilizers and these chemicals. So why are they recommended? Now, I'm not some conspiracy theorist that thinks that the government is just out to kill us. There's a reason why it's recommended, okay? They can mass produce them cheaply, they can sell them cheaply, and they can sit on the shelf for a very long time, okay? So they think that it is sustainable to feed us like this. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to follow the 3-day rule. So if you can take something and you can put it on the counter and it hasn't gone bad in 3 days, then don't eat it. Okay? And also, they have some of the biggest geniuses marketing and advertising for them, right? We think that Honey Nut Cheerios is going to save us from heart disease. And people buy it with that notion. They think that's going to happen. So recently there's a thing about gluten in the diet and how these gluten-free foods are not healthy for us. I agree that these gluten-free processed foods are not healthy for us, okay? They've taken a processed food and they've processed it even more to take the gluten out of it, okay? So just because you bought the gluten-free version of the cookies does not mean that it's a healthier option, okay? And here is their argument. Gluten-free processed foods are unevenly fortified. But they got the other processed foods down to a science. They are evenly fortified, right? So this expert tells us they can be deficient in fiber, B vitamins, magnesium, calcium, iron, or folate. Well, so can those other processed foods, and they aren't readily absorbed. Another expert says that the lack of fiber in gluten-free products can cause constipation, or children may feel socially isolated when they're not eating the same foods as their friends. Come on, are we really going to go that low? Now, I agree with them. When me and Dr. Heller tell somebody to eat gluten-free, it means stay away from the foods that have gluten. It doesn't just mean buy the gluten-free option. Corn chips have always been gluten-free, but now they can put gluten-free on the front of the bag, and you guys think that you're eating a healthy food, right? And it's sick and it's sad, but they're genius. They pay people big bucks for that. And this is where that initial thing came out. It was actually out of the Journal of Pediatrics. Here's my problem with this. They say that there is no scientific evidence that a gluten-free diet is beneficial for children without a verified diagnosis of celiac disease or a wheat allergy. So celiac disease is a complete and total gluten intolerance. You have an allergy to that protein in wheat. I'm going to tell you, it's not an all or nothing thing. It is a spectrum. We can have multiple different forms and degrees of gluten intolerance or sensitivities, okay? Here's a little bit of research for them. I'm telling you, they're flat out lying. There's research with adiposity and inflammation. There's research with autism, okay? Schizophrenia, neuropsychiatric disorders, coming out of the Journal of Neurology. Okay, we got cerebellar ataxia, brain conditions, inflammation. So there's plenty of different studies on the ill effects of gluten. So for them to say that there's no evidence is flat out wrong. So this statement is true when we talk about grains. The box that these foods come in are healthier than the food inside. And to be honest, when we consume grains, one of the favorites for people is breakfast cereal, right? So they're also laden with sugar, and then we dump a big old cup full of milk on it. This is what we're told about dairy. That we need 2 to 3 cups of dairy per day. So when we say dairy, all of you guys know that I mean, milk, sour cream, cheese, things of that nature. Growing kids need their calcium, right? Build strong bones, build strong teeth. That makes sense. Nobody wants to harm their child. They say foods in dairy groups provide nutrients that are vital for our health to maintain our body. These nutrients include calcium, potassium, vitamin D, and protein. And intake of dairy products is linked to improved bone health and may reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So I'm on the USDA's website, and I'm thinking with such a bold statement like that, clearly they have a research study to back it up, right? I couldn't find one. And I'm going to tell you the exact opposite. And there's no indication that milk products or dairy products are going to prevent us from getting osteoporosis. And is osteoporosis a major issue in our country? Right? I'm going to tell you it's a hormonal issue, it's a pH issue, and it's a movement deficiency issue. That is what osteoporosis is. When we look at the nutrients that they say is in dairy, these are other sources that we can get those, guys. Calcium. Look at the variety of vegetables that you can eat and get adequate amounts of calcium. Potassium. Green leafy vegetables, squash, bananas, mushrooms. Who doesn't like a good avocado? Vitamin D. To say that it's a good source of vitamin D is wrong because usually they fortify the milk with vitamin D. Vitamin D is not something we get readily from our diet. We're supposed to get it from the sun. But has there also been a huge scare on sun and cancer. But let me ask you a question. Are we getting less sun than we've ever gotten ever? Right? All of us have jobs inside. Am I correct? And are we using more sunscreen than we've ever used? What's happened to skin cancer rates? I'll let you ponder that. So some decent sources of vitamin D in our diet are fatty fish, egg yolks, and beef liver. Some good animal products. And we have no shortage of protein in our diet. Guys, let me ask you, what other mammal drinks the milk of a different mammal? You guys realize that we're animals, right? We fall under the mammalian kingdom. But we are the only mammal that drinks another mammal's milk. And what other mammal drinks milk past infancy? There's a good reason for that too, and a good explanation for that. And if you compare us to other mammals, how long should we really be breastfeeding? It's a lot longer than what we are. Okay, but we're encouraging women to quit breastfeeding in what, 6 months? And we're doing our children a huge disservice. Okay? So next time you see a woman breastfeeding, congratulate them for trying to raise a healthy child. What other animals have osteoporosis, guys? The only time we see this in the wild is if we domesticate an animal. Right? If we put an animal in the zoo, if we take it out of the wild and put it into captivity, we start seeing infertility, obesity, depression, osteoporosis, but we don't see it in the wild. Countries with the highest milk consumption have the highest incidence of osteoporosis. So here's the problem with milk. Is number one, it's pasteurized, so they got to heat it. They got to process it. So what that does is it actually kills all the enzymes in there, some of the good proteins, and some of the good bacteria that are within milk. So you've just destroyed all the nutrient-dense quality of that milk if there ever was any. And then you homogenize it, so you got to separate the fat. And you can oxidize the fat in that process. Many of these cows are given hormones, growth hormones, so they can actually produce a lot of milk. So once they produce and they produce and they produce, they develop conditions like mastitis, and then they got to give them antibiotics. 70% of the antibiotics that we consume and use are actually given to the foods that we eat, whether it's chicken or fish or cows. It is a fast sugar, once again, so it's going to mess with insulin. It's going to create a huge sugar spike. It's going to create a huge insulin spike. And the downstream effect of messing with insulin is obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Once again, it's acidic. If you have a cow and you have a nice green pasture, you don't spray it with any chemicals or any of that, and you let that cow be happy and roam around and eat the grass, and you milk that cow and drink that raw milk, that's great. The problem is the processing and the way that we consume it. That's not how we're consuming milk. So when we actually process it, once again, it creates an acidic environment. It's an acidic food. So one of our buffering mechanisms in the body is calcium. So is it giving us more calcium, or is it actually leaching it from our bones and contributing to osteoporosis? Now I'm going to tell you, if you Google milk and mucus production or phlegm, all the research studies out there, they're going to tell you there's no correlation between dairy and phlegm or mucus. Okay? And I appreciate that. I'm not going to argue with them. But clinically, what we see in our practice, when we see kids with asthma and allergies and sinus issues, and we take them off of dairy, we find out that they aren't as mucousy. They aren't as inflammatory. They respond better. That's just a clinical side note in our clinic. Many people are actually lactose intolerant, and 75% of the population actually loses the enzymes to digest lactose after weaning. So that right there is proof to me that we're not supposed to consume this after infancy. But the USDA recommends that we do 2 to 3 cups, and they recommend that it be no fat or low fat. Now, if you do that, what benefit is there in milk? If there was going to be any benefit, it was going to be the fat content. So Heather is going to go over some other biggies. Soy, industrial seed oils, and she's going to talk about how important fat actually is for our bodies. Okay? So without further ado, my beautiful wife, Dr. Heather.
Hey guys. Okay, I should just let him keep going. He's doing soy is huge. Several years ago, we were told that soy was like this miracle food, that it made us all healthy. It's a plant, right? So it's supposed to be better than a lot of other protein options, and that's what we were led to believe, okay? I'm gonna dissect that a little bit here though. Soy contains 3 major anti-nutrients, okay? These are big words that don't mean a whole lot to any of us here, but basically, they affect our body because, as Dr. Marley said, anti-nutrients of plants actually bind to things in our own body and prevent absorption, okay, and cause health issues. So what these anti-nutrients act as in these soy plants are, they are the immune system for the plant. So they're necessary while that plant is growing, okay? They keep the pests off of them, basically, and help the plant grow and thrive, okay? Every plant and a lot of stuff has anti-nutrients in them, but soy has the most out of all of these. It's very dense in these, okay? And actually, if we eat, I don't know if any of you guys know this, it shocks me still, but if we eat raw soy, it is poison, okay? So until soy is cooked and processed, it's poisonous, all right? So it has to go through very extensive preparation, like fermentation and soaking before it's even supposed to be eaten, okay? Sorry guys, I thought I had already fixed this typo, but basically, they're one of the worst foods that we can eat, okay? Now the next bullet point, and I thought I had it fixed, but they're also very highly genetically modified. Soy is 90% or more of soy is grown GMO. It is not grown without the hand of man, as Dr. Marley was talking about before, okay? Soy leads to tons of allergies, and we don't only see this clinically, but we have patients that work at the allergy clinic here in town, and we ask them, what is the top allergies you guys see? And then always the same 2 answers come up, peanuts and soy, okay? And they're both legumes, actually. Peanuts aren't even nuts, okay? So these allergies actually worsen with the more soy that we eat. So what happens is there's proteins that are found in soy that our body doesn't recognize and cannot break down, and they actually bind to our IgE antibodies, okay? That basically is just a fancy way of saying that it's an allergy. It's an allergy food in our body, and our body starts to react to that, okay? And with the more and more that we eat, the more and more we react, okay? Soy in itself leads to all sorts of problems in our body, digestive stress, immune system breakdown, like I was talking about, allergies, ADD, ADHD, I could go on and on and on, okay? The fact that it's a goitrogen just basically means, you guys know what a goiter is, like if you had thyroid goiters, it actually like feeds goiters, so it can lead to goiters, okay? All sorts of stuff. I didn't put this on, but leptin, it actually messes with leptin, which is the hormone in our body that tells us when we're full, okay? So when we eat a bunch of soy, we tend to overeat because leptin is not telling us it's time to stop, all right? Also, guys, phytoestrogen, soy is a phytoestrogen, and that just means it's an estrogen form in the plant, okay? So when we eat it, it acts as estrogen in our bodies, okay? This causes issues for both genders. They've actually done studies on infants who are fed soy formula from infancy, and by 2 years old, when they reassessed, the infants fed soy have more breast tissue than the infants who were not, okay? So also, men, if they're taking in a bunch of soy when they should be testosterone dominant, they're starting to get way too much estrogen, okay? And then of course, when women get too much estrogen, we get things like breast cancer, okay? So soy, I mean, there's like a million bullet points here, and really the issue is it's just not healthy, but the problem is, I'm sure a lot of you guys are sitting there like, whew, good thing I don't eat soy, I don't even like edamame or whatever, right? But the problem is it's in everything that is processed. If you guys read any sort of nutrition label, you'll see soy lecithin and soy isoflavones in almost everything. And really what that is, it's a byproduct of processing soy. So I honestly don't know why they put it in. I need to research that a little bit more. But when we feel like we're doing well because we aren't eating soy, we're eating it in anything with a box or anything with a label, okay? Okay, industrial seed oils. This is like, I don't know, it's weird for me because I remember seeing this stuff in my parents' cabinets growing up, right? Because in my parents' age, it was like margarine is healthier, right? These oils are healthier, right? I mean, that's literally like my grandparents raised my parents thinking that stuff, and you can't really blame them because that's what was in the buzz, okay? But to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't buy those. I don't think really anybody buys those anymore, but I could be wrong. But then you read like labels, like all these healthy salad dressings, so we think we chose the healthier version, like the vinaigrette or something, right? But if you look, they're gonna have these oils in them. So it's like, we can't catch a break, guys. So these are the corn oils, the cotton oils, the canola, sunflower, safflower. You'll see these in chips like crazy, okay? You can't get a bag of chips without an oil like this, except for Jackson's Honest Chips. You guys write that down. It is, they use coconut oil and very low ingredients. So it's coconut oil, potato, and sea salt, and that's it. So if you need a cheat, that's a good one. Okay. So these oils are very oxidative, okay? So actually what they're saying is that by the time you actually purchase that off the shelf, it could be already rancid. It's most likely that it is, okay? So, but with these having this oxidative damage in our bodies when we consume them, that's what leads to the heart disease, the atherosclerosis, and the platinum, okay? Also, these oils are very high in omega-6s. So, as Dr. Marley talked about, when we have a high ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s, we tend to be in that more of that inflammation state, right? So our body tends to be sick and riddled with disease when we are super high with omega-6s. But keep in mind, omega-6s are important too, and we're going to talk about that in a minute because they're still an essential fatty acid. Essential meaning we have to get it from our diet, okay? These oils here too, they're super calorie dense but nutrition poor, meaning that you're going to get tons of calories when you eat these, but you're getting no nutritional value, okay? It's also interesting to note that these omega-6 oils like this actually promote cancer progression, you guys. Whereas monounsaturated fats, they're called MUFAs, if you ever hear of those, like olive oil, avocado oil, walnut oil, those actually protect against cancer, okay? So we need to be eating more of those oils that I'm going to show you in the next slide here. Maybe. Oh, it's here. Okay, I'll get there in a second. Okay. All right, guys. For any of you who were at our first workshop, Get 10 Pounds Healthier in 10 Weeks, we talked a lot about fat, okay? Because everyone's been told that fat makes us fat. So we have all these diets out there that are low fat, but those tend to be high carbohydrate, okay? High sugar. So the USDA and the American Heart Association and other organizations push for low fat, no fat diets. And we want to know, does the research support it? So we looked, okay? Most foods that you're going to see in the store labeled light or, you know, light L-I-T-E, those are even worse because they probably have fake sugar. They've taken fat out of these products, you guys, but they've filled it in with sugar. So now you're getting really, really high sugar content foods like those light yogurts because you've taken some of the fat out, okay? Fat is so important, you guys, and we could talk for an hour just on fat, but I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of why. Most of our brain is actually made up of fat. So our brain needs fat to function properly, okay? It's fat and cholesterol is huge, and that's what our brain consists of. They have research out there that shows that these low-fat diets actually lead to mental illness, okay? Let me explain why. So if you're eating a diet that's low in fat, you're starving your brain of the nutrition that it needs, okay? And when you starve your brain, it stops working properly, okay? So it stops secreting the proper amounts of hormones, serotonin being one of them, okay? So what they found with people on low-fat diets, their serotonin dropped so low, they actually saw an increase in suicide in this one study on people who weren't getting enough fat in their diet, okay? All right, cellular environment, like Dr. Marley said, our bodies, every single cell in our body has a lipid bilayer, meaning it's surrounded by fat, okay? So we need fat in our body in order for any of our cells to work properly. We can't starve enough fat, okay? And most people think eating fats make us fat, but the research actually shows it's the opposite. If you eat healthy fats, you actually burn more fat and store less fat, okay? If you're starving yourself of something, your amazingly smart body is going to say, I don't get enough of this, so when I get it, I'm going to store it, okay? But if you constantly eat fat on a normal basis, your body burns it. It's called lipolysis, okay? And fat is also super energy rich, okay? So when we eat an avocado, we get a lot more energy that sustains us longer than if we eat, you know, a half of a bagel or something like that, okay? Most people would be surprised if they followed our family around for just a day. They'd be like, oh my gosh, they eat a lot of fats. But it is, you guys, fat's not making us fat, okay? All right, hormones. Actually, decreasing the intake of carbohydrates and increasing your intake of fats improves your insulin sensitivity. As Dr. Marley was saying, we want to have high insulin sensitivity so that we don't put ourselves in a diabetic state. So the less grains that we eat, and the more healthy fats that we eat, the better our body responds to insulin, okay? Also, another hormone, fats support your thyroid. So a lot of times people will come to me in my office and be like, I need to get my thyroid checked. I can't lose weight. I'm tired all the time. I think my thyroid must be off, right? But one of my first questions to them is, how much healthy fats are you getting? Because a lot of times they'll come back and say, my thyroid's fine, but I don't get it. I feel all the symptoms. Most likely their thyroid's not functioning its best because they aren't getting enough fat in their diet, okay? It's also critical for reproductive health in men and women, okay? Our reproductive hormones literally depend on fat, okay? So sometimes the infertility cases that we get, once again, we jump back into their diet, okay? Let's see, nerve system was back on the brain. Like I said, guys, sorry, I had a different version of this, but we'll just go with it. Okay, so bottom line is, do not be afraid to eat healthy fats, okay? Do not be afraid. Healthy fats actually help you lose weight by improving your metabolism, balancing your hormones, and eliminating those constant cravings because it's going to hold you over longer than a fast sugar would, okay? So what are some of these non-processed fats we're talking about? We're talking about grass-fed, eating at the pasture, free-range, happy animals, okay? And from those animals, you can get the tallow, the lard, the butter, and the ghee. Okay, ghee is just a clarified butter, so they sell it at natural grocery. It's really delicious. All of those are very good forms of fat, okay? Cold-pressed olive oil, coconut oil. We need to start cooking and using these things, you guys, and not those corn oils, sunflower oils, all those things we talked about on the industrial seed oil page, okay? And you guys, we can't forget, it's not just these omega-3s that we need, because we do need these, the nuts, the fish, the things like that, but we do also need omega-6s. Where we get those are some, the good saturated fats come from these healthy animals, okay? These happy animals. So we're not saying, if you buy meat in the store, get the expensive meat, get the meat that's not, riddled with antibiotics, hormones, vaccines, all this other stuff. And if you hunt, even better, because then you're getting good meat. So we do encourage people to eat these happy, healthy cows and happy, healthy chickens, but to stay away from the really sick ones, okay? All right, guys, what should we eat? In a nutshell, okay? Unlimited vegetables. You guys, these are very low in calorie, but it's like super high in nutrition, okay? So you can eat a ton of them, and you're not gonna feel super full, you won't feel bloated, you won't feel frumpy, but you're getting a ton of really good nutrition when you eat them, okay? Organic does matter a lot of times. I want you guys to look up the Environmental Working Group, their website. They put out something they call the Dirty Dozen list and the Clean 15 list, okay? So what that means, and they updated, so I didn't have the updated version, but the Dirty Dozen is basically the 12 produce products that you should try to buy organic because they tend to carry the most pesticides, herbicides, all that nasty stuff, right? But then they also talk about Clean 15. So if you have a budget to spend this much money on organic produce, well, spend it on the Dirty Dozen. The Clean 15 you guys can buy non-organic. So the easy way to think about this is if there's a thick rind or something that you're going to take off, like an orange or a grapefruit or something like that, you can tend to go with the less, the non-organic. But if you're going to be eating that fruit as a whole, you should try to buy organic. Like I said, though, look up the most current list. I know some of the Dirty Dozens are strawberries, bell peppers. Do you have any other?
Celery. Yeah.
Celery. There's apples. Yeah.
Cherries.
There you go, cherries. There's a good list though. When I first did it, I'd take that list to the grocery store with me and hide it in my purse and shop off of that. So, okay. Moderate amounts of fruit, you guys, moderate amounts. Fruit is good, okay, but it still has sugar in it. It's a natural sugar, but it is still sugar. So we tend to see that people switch their diet to more how we talk, but they really still need a lot of that fruit because they still need a lot of that sugar. So just tone it down a notch. When you make your breakfast smoothie in the morning, don't just put fruit in, okay? Put some kale in, put some spinach in, put some avocado in, get some veggies in that smoothie too, okay? All right, moderate amounts of nuts and seeds. Once again, you need some of that stuff that comes with those good omega-3s, okay? And then an abundance of properly raised, healthy, happy meats, okay? So we tell people when you sit down for your meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you ask yourself 3 things. Where's my plants, where's my protein, and where's my fat? Okay, you want to see all 3 of those things with your meals, okay? You don't want to be seeing the biscuits, the breadsticks, the French bread, okay, the pasta. Look for these things. So here's some pictures of our recent diet, okay? So I'm just going to kind of talk you guys through these a little bit here. This is a tuna steak with some scrambled eggs and a smoothie, okay? So Once again, we're looking for plants, fats, and proteins. Over here, we're seeing some fruit that's a good variety, okay? A little bit of a tomato. We've got a burger with some healthy, nitrate-free, unprocessed bacon, okay? And then this is just our version of a chocolate cupcake, but basically it is cacao, a little bit of almond butter, some eggs, some coconut oil, and some coconut butter on top that makes it look like frosting. It's really delicious. And we do post a lot of recipes and a lot of our pictures of our food on our Instagram page because people want some motivation or some ideas. So if anybody has Instagram, just follow us because we put a lot of pictures up there. So once again, guys, we see plants, fats, and protein, right? We've got our fats with our avocado. We also have olive oil and vinegar on the salad. We've got a lot of spinach. We've got some chicken. We've got some more of that good bacon. We've got some asparagus. Okay, over here, this is our family's version of a taco salad, right? We've got some of that good meat on there, some homemade guacamole, some sauteed veggies, and some greens. Okay, so does this food look good to you guys? Yeah. Okay, so it is good, and it's really fun, and cooking's fun. It's not as easy, right? And the grocery shopping is not as easy because this stuff doesn't stay fresh in our house as long as if we got stuff in a box. So I'm not gonna say this is super easy, but it's like, you've got to make some sacrifices, basically, but it's totally worth it, okay? Didn't say my current version. Okay, so you guys are probably sitting out there wondering, okay, Dr. Marley and Heather are chiropractors that only care about the back and bones, so why are they talking to me about what I eat? And as Dr. Marley said at the beginning, we're health and wellness experts, guys, and we just focus on your spine and nerve system. It's not even your bones that we care about, okay? It's a common misconception about chiropractic. So what it is that we care about is your nerve system, okay? It's well understood that you cannot have a properly functioning body and you cannot have optimal health if your spine and nervous system is not properly functioning as well, okay? So let me show you guys a couple pictures here and then we're gonna come back to this slide. Anybody been in any of this, right? Or how many of us have kids, right? I see my children fall all the time. I've got a 3-year-old and a little girl that turns 1 this month, actually. And if you guys would just watch my daughter Quinn for like 2 hours, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that girl falls all the time. But it's all of us, right? When we're learning to crawl and then walk, and we forget that any of this happens. We have sports injuries, right? Sledding accidents. I mean, bicycles. How many times have we fallen from an object, okay? This stuff happens. Car accidents. Our spines are literally an accumulation of the trauma that we've been through, okay? But a lot of times, these traumas that we've been in, we've never actually had our spine checked, right? Sometimes we'll go, like, after a car accident, we'll just get checked out, make sure that all of our vitals are good, we're okay, we're really sore, but nothing's broken, and we go home, right? But a lot of times, at least in our office, people say, oh, no, I never got my spine checked after that. So that's why we're passionate, okay? What about this picture? Yeah, these are, once again, our spines are an accumulation of these, right? So these bad habits, they all add up, okay? We live a very toxic lifestyle right now. If you think about how the hunters and gatherers lived, they moved all the time. The average U.S. American sits for 13 to 15 hours every single day, okay? And then if we sleep for 7 to 8, we're barely getting 3 to 4 hours of even moving our bodies at all, okay? That's not how our spines are meant to be. That's not how our bodies are meant to be. So here we've got, repetitive household chores, really bad posture. How many people have computer jobs, not only sitting like this, but usually holding a phone, okay? Improper lifting. These poor kids wearing these backpacks at school that are way too heavy for them. Look at this kid's posture. His ear is jutted out way in front of his shoulder just to keep that backpack up, okay? Now, technology, it's everywhere. Once again, another stat for you guys. Does anybody know how much time the average U.S. child gets of screen time every single day? 5. What else? 7.5 hours of screen time every single day. Lori, was that you back there? Yeah. You listened. Every single day, you guys. That's crazy. Okay, so we're talking smartphones, we're talking iPads, video games at home, the computer, the TV. All of that adds up, you guys, and then we're usually not doing those things in the upright posture, right? I see kids in my office playing games like this, and for a long time, okay? So we need to change all of this, okay? These conditions, like I said, add up, okay? And what they contribute to is what this slide is supposed to be, subluxation, okay? Subluxation is what we care for in our office, and I'm going to explain it without the words that are supposed to be there, okay? So what a subluxation is, and no spine. All right, here we go. So a subluxation is a minor misalignment in your vertebral, in any two bones in your back, usually multiple areas, okay? With that misalignment, you'll get soft tissue swelling, your disc will swell, and you'll get irritation around your nerve as well as the spinal cord itself, okay? The way the body works is our brain and our central nerve system act kind of like the computer, okay? They operate our body, and they communicate out to every organ, tissue, and cell in our entire body through that nervous system pathway. When we've got an area with a misalignment, a subluxation, it is stuck, okay? It's fixated that way, and your brain is not being able to communicate with your body properly at those levels, okay? So when something like that happens, you'll get some pain every once in a while, but what people don't realize is that that comes at the end of the problem. So most times by the time you're coming in our office, we show you your x-rays and we're like, that's been in there a long time. We can see degenerative changes already on your spine from that, okay? So not only that, but what people also don't realize is it's not just about your pain, guys, it's about your function. You can tell, we care about your health, right? So when people come into us with more organic issues like irritable bowel or infertility or, heart palpitations, right? But they don't realize that it's actually their nerve system that's not functioning properly, okay? So our job is to figure out where those subluxations in your spine are and correct them, okay? And we do that in a very, very detailed and scientific manner. We take x-rays, we do nerve scans, we do posture pictures, we really attack your spine before we figure out exactly if we can help and if so, how, okay? So that's why chiropractic is a big part of a healthy lifestyle. So we realize that to be healthy, you need to eat well, you need to move well, and you need to think well, right? And if you did all three of those things properly, you'd be really healthy, and that'd be awesome. But we know also that if you got adjusted regularly and you got rid of subluxation, you'd be even healthier, okay? On the contrary, we get people in our office who think that just by getting adjusted and getting chiropractic care, they're going to be healthier, and they will. But until they're eating right, moving right, and thinking right, they're not going to be their best, okay? So that's what we're trying to get to you guys tonight, is that all of this stuff adds up, and it's all kind of like a puzzle that leads to optimal health, and we're just a part of it. But we're also super passionate about teaching people how to be their best, because as a doctor, we know that we're an educator, right? It's not only our job to help you get well, but to teach you how to stay well, okay? And we take that very seriously. So, let me make sure here that I don't have anything else I wanted to say. I do want to thank you guys so much for coming. We love and appreciate every one of you, and I see a ton of new faces that we've never met before. We are going to open up questions at the end here. We do want to say thank you. Just you guys coming here shows us that you care about your health, okay? And that is awesome. And like I said, we would be happy to sit down with each and every one of you in just a consultation at our office and just chat. Can we help you? What are your health goals? Is it something we can help you reach, okay? So if that's anything you guys are interested in, you can come up and talk to Dr. Marley, myself, or Allie after this, and we can chat more about that. We also did bring a couple business cards in case somebody's interested in one of those. But once again, you guys, thank you so much for coming out. I'm Dr. Heather Smith. Thanks, guys.